Hello everyone, this is Beyond the Edit. I'm Mark Warnock. I'm so excited to bring this little pilot podcast to you as a little side hustle. Another podcast, oh how tedious, I can hear you saying. I'll keep it sweet. Australian Survivor is a fantastic TV show. I've been a massive super fan for so long. I was so lucky to have the experience to play this fantastic game, and you know what? I was pretty happy with my edit. However, I got to know so many of the people who played this game, and I got to hear all their interesting stories lying on the beach as we were practically wasting away into skin and bones. And then when I watched the show, I just felt like so many people we didn't really get to know who they are. So I wanted to have a chance to sit down and have a little bit of a chinwag with these people who played this fantastic game. So first up, I wanted to talk to my mate Rianna. She was originally a rebel, she was an ally to Kirby, she made the merge, she was an absolute challenge beast, and she did really, really well. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to see all of the funny and wacky stories that she was regaling to us 24 hours a day on the beach, so I wanted to sit down and have a chat to her just about her life, what she did before Survivor, how she found the game, and what she's doing now. You might find this to be incredibly frustrating because it seems like Rianna and I are in an interminable competition to say the word like the most. It really is a bit of a personal tick that I have. I apologize for that, but you know what? We were just in the moment. We were rolling with it, so calm your farm, eh? There were also a few technical issues. I had to delete a little bit, so if you hear a few little clicks and clacks, just roll with it. It's a pod. It's a little podcast. Just chill, okay? Here's Rianna. Listen away and tell me what you think.
Well, hello everyone. Here we are. I'm in my room. It's Mark from Australian Survivor, and I'm with my first guest on Beyond the Edit. It's Rianna. Oh my God, Rianna, how are you? Thank you so much for joining my little pilot or podcast.
Oh, I'm so excited to delve into everything behind the scenes, everything about me.
Well, I think it's really funny because for me, you were with me so much on the beach in Samoa, but for the Australian people and the fans of Survivor all around the world, I feel like they barely scratched the surface with you, Rihanna. So I keep calling you Rihanna like I'm a school teacher or something.
Like
Riri.
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 I know. I think it's so funny. We had a little bit of a love hate relationship on the show Marky Boy, didn't we? But yeah, it's hard because
Mostly love. I tried to love you.
I always came back to love. Actually, with most people, it's always just been love for me. But in the show, you just never know where you stand. But yeah, what behind the scenes, who are we? Who the edit gave us, and not well, maybe you, Mark, you got a bit more than me. But me,
You just didn't wear a jacket.
Yeah, no.
Well, maybe if you wore your ambulance outfit, you should have maybe worn your ambulance outfit. I think that would have been
I know.
They couldn't have ignored you.
I know. If I came in my full green paramedic kit, surely I would have turned some eyes and said, I don't know why I went with a bright pink jumpsuit, looked like a 12-year-old, but that's okay.
I rewatched your promo video, and that paramedic outfit does it for me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's hidden trauma, but it's better than a Ghostbusters outfit.
I think it's so funny. Some people oh, do you like a cop in uniform, or if guys think uniform is nice, but it definitely I think does suit some people, like a person in uniform. So maybe I should have done that next time. Maybe.
Maybe I'm just a sucker for authority. Who knows? Well, Riri, I know when I think of you, I think of the fact that you are a bit of a country gal. I remember you talking about the fact that you're from South Australia, and I don't know anyone from or much about South Australia at all. And and I was like, oh, Adelaide, and you're like, not really. So yeah, tell us where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I lived actually to start off with a small country town in called the Flinders Ranges, part of South Australia. So about 3-4 hours north of Adelaide. And then I moved to the Barossa Valley when I was halfway through primary school. So, the wine region, everyone loves their wine. So most people know the Barossa Valley. But yeah, I actually grew up on a small hobby farm. So all those, imagine chickens, cows, sheep, and I'm a twin. So there's two of me. Luckily we
There
don't
you
look
go.
the same. Not saying my sister doesn't
Yeah.
look great, but like we're like I just think us as twins, it's been so fun growing up on a farm because we just used to cause so much trouble. Like I don't know, I'm pretty sure I lit my cubby house on fire with my sister. And I know that we stole all the chickens out the chicken coop and put them in our parents' clothes drawers. And mum couldn't open the clothes drawers, but she just heard all the chickens chirp. Yeah, so yeah, we accidentally lit our cubby house on fire. I'm pretty sure we were trying to light a candle for our teddy bears to have a birthday party.
So you lit your cubby house on fire. So that's the origin story of why you're such a good fire starter. Because like even when you're like a wee little toddler, you were like tearing around the country farm, lighting things on
Definitely.
fire. You have a twin sister.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, you had such a leg up.
Yeah, I know. Especially now I think about it with that fire making stuff. I never really put two and two together, but you're right. Like we used to go and light bonfires, and I've spent so many times like camping and like being kind of the fire master in my own backyard. I actually love it. So yeah, you guys had no chance with that. Hey.
And you had like the competition from day one, like literally from day one. You're like, I've got a bloody twin sister, and I want to like whoop her bum in making fire. So
Yeah.
yeah, we literally had no chance. Yeah, for those, I mean, I don't think it showed it too much, but yeah, I definitely, in my mind, when I were to rank the fire makers. This is potentially controversial and piss people off, but you were definitely number one. I think you were hands down number one fire maker, and everyone after that is a distant second, third, and fourth. What do you reckon?
Oh, I reckon Marky, you were up there though. Definitely you and
Oh,
And I should probably say Jaden. He just had the muscle. Hey, he just brought all the wood. Uh, and then
I think Jaden was a good adding wood to the fire, man. I don't know about like getting the spark, but you
like
know,
adding
like Kirby,
fuel to the fire.
he no matter what Kirby does, she brings the spark. So I kind of feel like that's like on brand for her as well. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so you're a country girl. You have a twin sister. You have a brother as well. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm actually one of six. So I have an older brother, and then I've got an older sister, me and my twin, and then I've got two younger twin sisters. So they're identical. It's a very convoluted family. It just keeps going.
That's right.
Yeah,
It just keeps
it
going.
keeps going.
It's literally the Brady Bunch.
It's the gift that just never stops giving. But I
Yeah.
actually think living with siblings is like I don't know if people like are their only child will ever know what it's like to live with siblings because like I broke my arm 4 times, but one of those times my sister broke it because she threw me on the couch and broke my arm. So like you got to get like down with the nitty gritty. You get tough real quick. You know when to eat all your food
Yeah.
because people steal stuff. So maybe that's where some of my I don't know grittiness came from, just living with a pack of other siblings.
Absolutely. Oh, there's no doubt about that. I think like your sister breaking your arm, yeah, that checks out for like developing some resilience and mental fortitude. Bloody hell. I do remember hearing about your broken arm and all of the siblings. You're out there playing Survivor and you're trying to kind of remember, things that are important, to the other contestants. And you and your family tree was just like beyond my ability to remember. I'm like Rianna, Riri, twin sister, funny brother because he wrote some funny note in your bloody letter from home,
I
and then there was just like large a large group of Bowleys in South Australia who are just like like terrorizing the countryside.
oh
So
yeah.
yeah, that's like
And then
that's my memory.
when you meet my twin sister, she is like pretty much the exact same person as me, but she does no sport. She's the laziest thing you'll ever meet. She'll like sit on the
That's right.
watch movies. She's still tiny as, but like exactly the same personality type in the sense that we're very like outgoing and very social. But mate, she couldn't even
Mm.
lift like a kilo weight by herself. Like she struggles. So it's so funny when I'm off doing all these like physical activities and like all these challenges. You get my twin sister up there, she would die. She would have drowned for sure. That the one
If only If only there was like a, bring your family out to the island and have them join you in a competition like they used to. I don't know if you used to watch the US seasons. They used to do that. That would have been good for the rest of us. Where was Riri's sister when we needed her? Like for the rest of us, but for you, maybe not so
I
good.
would actually have paid so much money to watch my sister do that. Like I would pay a copious amount.
It's just payback for the broken arm. You're like, aha, I'm going to watch you fail on national television. I'm going to get you back
It
so
was
good.
we were in Bali just recently, and I wanted to hike this mountain. As I do all these hikes, and probably things that people wouldn't dare to go do. But this one, I was like, oh, like it will be fine. You can come with me, because she came over to Bali with me, with her and her partner. I'm like, it's not too far. Anyway, ended up being like the guy. We left at midnight, and we didn't get up there until like 6 a.m. And it was probably the steepest thing I've ever done. And I was like, all I could think about is if I brought her with me, she would have died, and I would have felt terrible. But because I struggled, and for me to struggle to start off with, I was like, she would have been toast, absolute toast doing it. But that's funny.
I saw those photos. They looked amazing. If you're for the 5 people listening to this, go and check out Riri's Instagram page and see the video, because that was definitely like pretty special. So yeah, good on you, man. Like you're probably like, there's probably like 10 people who's ever actually climbed that mountain, because it's like most people probably know like, oh, this is like extreme level hiking, but Riri's like, oh yeah, no, I reckon I can handle that. Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah. Do you want help? Nah.
That
She's
does
all
sound
good.
like me so much. In Mount Gung, it was very interesting, because I was just like asking the little 12-year-old guide that takes you up, who does it without even like he does it so effortlessly, and I'm like popping a lung over there, like trying to go up the stairs. But I was like, oh, so how many people have done this? And this was like end of February, early March that I went over, and he's like, oh, we've just had just one person do it before you, and I was like, oh, like okay, like.
Yeah, have you heard of him? His last name Grills, first name Bear, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, right, cool.
But then he's like, oh, there's other people, but did you not know there's like an easier track that like it just goes around more flatter, but you're going straight up the middle. So we're like going so steep that you literally just climb rocks to get there. And I was like, oh, so that's how everyone gets there at a safer pace and rate, because it's not as steep. And literally we were climbing boulders, and it was the most best thing I've ever done, and I don't regret it, because when I finished it, I was like, man, I did that all by myself, got to see the epic sunrise, and yeah. And if anyone wants to do some hiking or know about some hikes, I've done some amazing ones over the last like few years, and I love it. I get a bit of a thrill out of just that adrenaline rush when you like get to the top and you get to see all the views. I love it.
Yeah, that is so cool. Like it's not something that I've done a lot of, but when I hear you talk about hiking and like the walks, I remember you used to talk about like the walks that you would do all around like South Australia. You'd just be like, oh yeah, I went on a walk for like, I don't know how long, just by myself, and I was like, oh, okay, like
Yeah.
that sounds on paper that sounds kind of boring, but when you talk about it, I was like, oh.
Yeah,
I could give that a go. So
did
yeah.
one, was it last year? I just was like, you know what? I'm sick of waiting for find people to go do things with. So I was like, I'll just go do it myself. So I got my like
Independent Riri.
yeah. Got my hiking backpack, like just did some Googling, a bit of YouTube, and make sure I like packed all the right stuff, got a little tent, got all this stuff, and I literally just went for 4 days and just left. And it was so funny. I got my friends to drop me off, and I said in 4 days' time, pick me up on the other end, like where I'm aiming to finish. And I said, pick me up. And I literally started walking, and about 1 kilometer in, I hit this massive brown snake on the track, and I was literally like, I jumped over it, and I was like, holy moly, I actually might die out here, because I was literally like, this giant snake just nearly got me. And it was funny as well, because like normally I take a solar panel that charges my phone, and this time I borrowed my friend's ones because it had a battery pack, and I was like, great, I'll have a battery pack to charge my phone. Anyway, classic me, didn't check to make sure everything was working. Didn't work, and so my phone went flat within the first day. Yeah, it lasted a day, and then literally all I had was my watch. And that's all I had for 4 days, and I just hoped to God my friends were gonna be there on the other end, and I hope to God I didn't die. And on the track for 4 days, I saw one person. So I was literally just out there by myself, but I actually liked it. It was very therapeutic, and it really does a character builds you when you're like, I actually have no help here, and so if I'm in trouble, how am I gonna get myself out of this?
Wow. Well, talking of help, you may not have needed help in the middle of South Australia on your walk, but you were a paramedic. You are a paramedic. Tell us about how you became a paramedic and why did you choose to become a paramedic? Was that what you always wanted to do, or did you have like grand aspirations of being like, I don't know, running away with the circus or something, and then you just fell into the world of being working in an ambulance?
Yeah. Um, yes, I am a paramedic now. I actually didn't always want to be a paramedic. It was in the like background of something I could do, but when I left school, like anyone that's less, I was 17 when I finished. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I actually went to
Yeah.
uni first to study psychology. So I don't know, could have been like Rebel Kell. Not sure if that's like. And wait, isn't your what a psychologist, Marky boy?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, my wife is a clinical psychologist, and it's so funny whenever there are psychologists cast on reality TV shows. I think, like, collectively, the like the profession just like releases a collective like nervous sigh because they're like, oh no, not again. It's not like you'd think that it would pay off, in a game like Survivor. So yeah, Sass is a psychologist. Look, you would have been a great psychologist, but like you could have, I'm sure people could be crying and bawling their eyes, telling you all of their like sad, sad stories. But with your like grit and like demeanor, you would have been like be able to hold it all together. So I could see there's some
It's
pretty good
funny.
overlaps there.
It's funny because obviously I've become a paramedic, and what's our main jobs at the moment? Mental health. So I didn't really escape the
Yes.
psychology that I thought I was escaping because I didn't love it, but it all comes back to you. So, but yes,
Oh
paramedic.
wow.
So yeah, did a 3-year degree of that, and then I ended up getting a job here in South Australia, and it is the best job for me, and it has been like the best thing for my personality, like just every aspect of it. And it's hard for me to go into what jobs like I'd love to talk to you about, but some of them I don't know what everyone's flavor is, but I love the weird things where like, people put
Mm.
things up the wrong places and you think, why did you do that? Some of those ones are really funny. But then again, I've been to people who got like
Do people know that? Do people know that? Like in the office, is it like, oh, there's a weird thing up the bum, better call Riri, better get her on the case?
it's so funny because it's like I think to myself, at what moment did they start sweating to realize, crap, this is not coming out, and now I need to call someone. And this one I go to, there's a serial offender, and I was just like, let's just make up a name for whatever sakes. But Tim, why are we back here again for putting a potato up your bum? Just making this a little bit not exactly what had happened, but like getting the gist. Something up your bum. Why are we back here again for this? Stop doing it.
Oh wow.
Oh, I put string around it this time, and I could figure it out. Well, the string broke, so stop doing that. Yeah, so there's kind of things like that. But then I'll go literally to someone who got stabbed in the back and it's like a murder. And I like next minute I'm like, yeah, trying to save someone's life who's been stabbed on the street. It is like literally some polar opposite jobs. But I just see everything. I've delivered 8 babies now. I delivered one in the back of the
8.
yeah, 8 babies. One in the back of a car. It wasn't
Wow.
even that long ago. Back of the car seat. She didn't quite make it. Delivered that. But
Sure, it was a baby and not a little potato.
no potatoes. And I'm still waiting for someone to call their kid Riri. I'm getting nothing. No one's want to dedicate their kid's name to the one that delivers it. It's a bit upsetting, but
Wow. Yeah, yeah. So stabbed in the back. So on one hand, you've got, baby delivering. On another hand, you've got like people getting stabbed in the back. Like, what's how do you prepare your mind for like going into a scenario like that? Because that sounds like to me like some fairly big extremes and like massive uncertainty. I think that going into the game of Survivor, you don't really know what you're getting yourself into, but like that sort of like mental ability to just like
Yeah.
be okay with like whatever the world throws at you?
Yeah.
Is that how you found like your work and then also the game?
Yeah, I did find going out in the game so much easier because of being a paramedic. And I guess like
Yeah.
I've been in it for 8 years now. It's like at the start when I went to these jobs, I'd used to have like this nervous feeling about like, oh, what's going to happen or what am I going to? But now it's just like most of the time I'm actually pretty good. And I think it's because I've just built up resilience to it now because I've just been exposed to so many things that nothing really gets me too nervous. Like there's some jobs, don't get me wrong, they're like out of the ordinary and like you're just like you can just tell that you're getting a little bit nervous, but you're just so prepared about how to respond to them now. It just makes it that much easier.
Mm,
And when I went out into the game, like I wasn't too bad about like the living situation, like Mark, we know we literally have no shelter, like the elements, we get wet,
mm.
sleeping on the sand. Like you saw my sleeping habits, they were actually quite good on the sand, actually. But
Yeah.
and the same
Yeah.
with food as well. Like I just that side of me was all fine. The challenge side, the hardest thing for Survivor is like just the psychological game in the sense of just
Mm.
everyone backstabbing you. But everything else,
I think that's so true. I think it's really funny and like something that resonates with me as well. Like having a bucket ton of life experience, including like I mean, I don't have the experience with like full on traumatic experiences or episodes, but like being okay with uncertainty and then just like learning to roll with the punches is probably like you can't really prepare, you can't read a book for that stuff. So yeah, I think that's like a pretty amazing profession. You and Sarah, I suppose, had that sort of background, but yeah, you're like, yeah, as you said, yeah, like, so many years of experience.
like
Yeah, and I also remember that you were saying that like you'd cruise, like it wasn't just like you were in, I don't know, like a fancy part of Adelaide or something. It was like a real mixed bag of like of
yeah,
environments, and at nighttime as well. So it's like you really like it is a really interesting job. I kind of like weirdly find myself googling how to become a paramedic. It sounds pretty interesting.
yeah. I work in like a very lower socioeconomic region, so there's definitely a variety of work, whether it's like a lot of drugs or violence, and then like I don't know. There's literally so many different things where I work, and you're right. I work at nighttime, and most of the time, like I'm like the senior clinician. Like I'm working with someone younger than
Mm,
me, so like the violence level is like definitely there. And because I'm the senior
wow.
clinician, for some reason, I always go and take it upon myself that if there is any trouble and like the police aren't there, I'm always the one I'll step in to like protect my colleague. I don't have to, but I always see it like you feel like it's your responsibility. There's so many times that I've done things that I would be like, I can't believe I just did that. Like take like a knife out of someone's hand or like try and kick them for that. But just because the police aren't there and it's just like you got to do what you got to do, but you're just like, wow, how many people experience this side of danger or like get exposed to these environments that you are, but you just do it in the moment. You either react, it's adrenaline fueled, and you just got make a decision, you do it, and then yeah, it's done.
That is so incredible. And like I don't, you know how like there's all these like fitness bros out there. I won't name any names. But they're all like, yeah, I'm an adrenaline junkie, and like I spend my life like like jumping out of planes and stuff. And you're like, yeah, okay, but like so does everyone else. I think you have just like completely crushed all of them. Like I think you're like, oh, I saw a guy at a scene and he had a knife in his hand and the cops didn't show up, so I bashed it out of his hand before he could like attack my like partner. I'm like, that's like it is pretty cool. And these are the stories that I remember. You know. My memories of Riri on the beach, like you were such an entertainer with such a like a dry sense of humor, but you kept us so entertained through all hours of the night. Like you were like just on the clock, basically, usual shift hours at nighttime on the sand, being entertaining us with stories. And I don't think there are many that could compete. So yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, that is pretty cool. I really hope that you don't get like overexposed to like too many like
And
I
it's
don't know like
funny because I'm always
negative experiences.
yeah, I'm always like, is this gonna come out in PTSD later? But like most of the
Well, you know who to call.
yeah, yeah,
Whoop
either
whoop.
Rebel Cow, but I
Or maybe
think
that's
I'll
a
go with
trigger for me.
I think I'll go with Sass over Rebel Cow. But
Yeah,
anyway,
Sass. I can like this.
luckily I've got such a good network of like all your mates and like even you guys. Like just me talking about the stories sometimes just helps like process it all, which is really nice. And yeah, like one day, if anyone, you just need to come and have coffee with me because I am an endless book of stories and they are very entertaining. So
Oh,
they just never.
I'll always take that up.
I think of more all the time, and I'm like, that is hilarious. Like each day I go to work, something just happens, and I'm just like, this is the funniest thing. Like I couldn't even make this up if I tried. Like it's hilarious. So yeah, I do love it. I want to write a book
uh,
today when I figure out the legal side to it. I would love to write all my stories down in a book. It'd be entertaining as.
mate, I would definitely splash some cash to read your book. So I would please do that for all of us. Let's jump onto Survivor for a little bit because not about too much about the game, but like tell us about was this the first time you've applied, like, or have you applied before? Tell us about your the casting
I
for you.
applied in, I reckon it must have been just before COVID, so 2019, 18, 19, one of those over those years. And I actually,
It's a blur. I know it's a total blur. Like anything pre-COVID, you're just like, oh my god, I was younger, I was skinnier,
I know.
and my phone wasn't as good.
Yeah. So I actually got to the last audition round. But I was
Ooh,
traveling. No, it must have been pre-COVID because I was traveling with my partner at the time and I couldn't get to it. So then I applied by the time COVID had gone
what?
and I reapplied, which only this next time. And then funny enough, I somehow got on, which I literally am still in slight disbelief that out of I reckon what was it, 9,000 applicants? Um
I don't know.
there was a fair few.
I don't know. It was a fair whack. Well, hold on. So you just didn't show up to your interview? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, I didn't show up.
You just had other things on, like what? Like you forgot to set the alarm. I mean, how does that
No,
happen?
I was
You were traveling, so you were traveling
I
anyway.
was traveling interstate, and then they had allocated at that time. They allocate you a spot in your state, and then when you fill out your
Mm.
application, it had to say like what dates will you kind of be free, I guess, or like they had their dates you had to be free by. And I obviously didn't read the fine print, and I left, and I was in Cairns, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll try and
Oh.
get you to Brisbane." And they said the only spot they could get me to was Melbourne. But by the time like I was at the top of the Daintree, getting to Melbourne was a little bit hard and I was halfway through my trip. So I was like, oh, well, sorry. And they just said, could you reapply?
I love this so much because like like this was the first time that I've applied, but like when people Eden hear this, they will die. Oh, too good. Well, I'm really glad that you got on the second time, so you don't have any regrets.
Sorry, what was that?
I'm really glad that you got on the second time round because otherwise, like like you
Oh,
you actually like you don't have any regrets. That's really
no
cool.
regrets. And I don't know. I had a feeling in myself. I don't know whether I manifested it or whatever, but I just was like thinking, I was like, I am perfect for this. Like, country girl, like, do the fireside. I can live
Mm.
in, like, I can build a shelter. I can eat off of nothing. And then the challenge side, I didn't know how I was going to go, but I've always had a level of fitness that I felt like I could because of maybe being stubborn. I'm not really sure what it is, but I knew that I don't.
Stubborn, a million siblings,
Yes,
like sibling rivalry from day one. Yeah, I don't know. Stubborn. I think that kind of comes with the
yeah, I
territory.
think it's stubborn. I just know I just don't I don't give up. Well, I don't give up easily anyway. So if someone tells me I can't do something, you watch me try and do it. Like that's pretty much my mentality. It's
Mm.
like you try and tell me I can't do
When
something.
when you were going through casting, did production kind of like were they sort of like curious in which because I find with your backstory and your character you can explore so many different angles, like were they sort of like trying to get you to be like the country girl or the paramedic or the adventure
It was
traveling junkie? What?
very interesting to start off with because I wasn't really sure what angle they were going for, but I know they loved it because I was like this adrenaline junkie. Like I do skydiving, you know, swimming with whale sharks, like all that stuff. Like loved it. But then they also loved the side where I'm an adrenaline junkie at work, and they liked it that they loved hearing all my stories, like about like people being stabbed and like the drug overdoses and all the things that I'm faced with like an adrenaline junkie thing. So that it's like, can you do all this? And then, but then they put me as a rebel. I was like, a rebel? I was like, I am paramedic, excuse me. Do you not see I serve my community? And I was like, I'm not taking drugs, I'm murdering people. Like, why am I a rebel? I remember them, they're like, what's the most rebellious thing you've done? I was like, I don't really know. Like, I
forgot to floss. Like, I don't know.
Just like, I'm telling you right now, I'm a Titan. And they were just like, well, you're a rebel. I was like, oh, well, it's not really me.
The things we do to get on reality TV, Riri.
Yeah, it was very funny. And then I was a bit sweaty about it, but then in hindsight, it's just a label, and you can be whoever you want to be. So
yeah, I totally like. I don't really think like. I think like ultimately being cast as a rebel was way more fun. No one wants to root for the Titan. Like being the David in the David and Goliath battle is like 100% like the more fun position to be in.
You reckon? So you're Titan. I would have switched. I would have switched places. Although I love my rebel, my rebel tribe was epic.
So you mean like without knowing, but like without knowing who was on which tribe?
Yep.
You would have been happy to be a Titan.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
That's interesting. You would have fit in. Yeah.
Blue's my color too. I'm not a pink.
I wouldn't have minded being on the Rebels tribe just because I think it would have been fun to be able to, like, I think having like, I didn't feel straitjacketed, but I just think like having the Titan label on you, it just meant that it's just less fun. I think Rebels have more fun, but in the end, I was very, very, very happy with my tribe. I don't regret it at all. No, now I know who's there. So
yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like that. I did love my tribe. But everyone could be like, "Why are you on this tribe?" And I was like, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't robbed anything. I've gone to jail. I don't have tattoos, which I'm pretty sure everyone had a tattoo except for me. So I was like, I don't know, but I'm here. But they all love me, so that was great.
Love it. Oh, that's awesome. What was the reaction when you went back home after playing Survivor, like after it came out? Like, did people recognize you on the street? Did people ask lots of questions, or even online? Like, what's it been like?
Yeah, it's been so fun. So once, like, obviously I got home and saw my family and friends that knew about it, and then like they were just like, "You're so skinny and so brown," and I was like, "I know, I need a hamburger, stat." But when it finally came out on TV, it was so nice because obviously I was still being I'm a paramedic still, so like I was still going out. And it would be on like the TV or something, and I'm just like standing in someone's living room, and then I'm just like, oh, that's me. And then one time it was on in the hospital, and I was like walking through where all the patients were like in the waiting room, and it was on like there's a big like TV screen in the waiting room, and then I'm just there doing one of my challenges, and I was like, oh my god, that's me.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I really hope that someone was like, that's Rianna, she's right there, she's a legend, and everyone just like started firing off little party poppers and like, there was a confetti parade. That would have been awesome.
It's actually so funny. It's so not like me, but everyone like even now I went to Bunnings the other day and they're like, it's Riri from Survivor, and I was like, where? And I was like, oh, you're talking to me. But yeah, no, I have a good chat to everyone about it, and they just like love to see my experience and things like that. So, but otherwise, it's just normal life. It goes on, which is actually so nice because I'm renovating a house, and that is chewing up a lot of my time at the moment. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Ree's renos at all? Like the never-ending house renovation plans? It's pretty exciting. I mean, I know about it, but yeah. Give us the highlights.
I bought a 1960s granny house. Actually, pretty much just before I went to Survivor last year. I reckon I moved in at like June and we left in July. So I've only had it for about a year. But yeah, you can see Re_Renos on Instagram. You can see literally I'm doing most of this house myself. So background, zero idea. And I watch YouTube and bunny videos a lot. And I'm so thankful that I have a few mates that are tradies that definitely just they kind of tell me how to do a few things, point me in the right direction. But I have spent so many hours doing stuff, which is going to be great. And it's going to be great when I know that I've did it all myself, and it's actually taking some sweet as shape. And like in the next probably few months, we're getting pretty close to the inside being done, which would be nice.
I love that like most normal people would be like, I use YouTube to like learn how to change the tire once I got a flat tire on the side of the road. Nope, not Riri. She's like, I'm going to build a house by YouTube.
It's pretty much, and I know, and it's so weird because I'm very good at like I love even like Facebook Marketplace. I'm a little bit of a fiend on that thing, and then like I can see like things and seeing how I can turn it into something great, and I'm like, oh, I can use that. So like the kitchen, I ripped out of someone's house that they were bulldozing because it was like a new kitchen they'd put in, then decided to like bulldoze it. But then I had to like I was like, yeah, I can go get that. And I was like, I'll be right to get it myself. And then I was like, no, I wasn't. I needed like 4 of my friends to come help me. And I was like, oh, I can put it on a trailer. No, you can't. I had to hire a truck. Once you pull that stuff apart, there's cupboards everywhere. And there's like so many things. I was like, yeah, I can do that. And then I was like, I go and do it. And then I'm like, yeah, look, I probably needed a little bit of help with that. But I get it done, and everything I've done is going well, and I'm just thankful I've got friends everywhere that love to help me somehow still. So
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Well, I do foresee many more trips to Bunnings in your future. And so I think that, like the survivor recognition Bunning trip, I think there's a pretty good overlay of people at Bunnings that recognize me. Also, like the bottle shop. I often get recognized at the bottle shop.
Regular.
Yeah. Dan Murphy's, yeah, someone's always there. It's like I think everyone's just relaxed, they're like looking, and then they see you carrying a carton of beer, and they're like, "Oh, Mark's he's just like one of us." And so they always talk to me.
Yeah. Well, I went to Melbourne, and whenever I'm with Kirby, obviously like she's a big dog, but like then everyone always then recognizes me. But because I think with Kirby, they make the recognition like, "Oh, you guys are together," and I was like, yeah. But like friends, just get that right. That was after the rumor that we're lesbians. I was like, no, we're not. Can't we just be friends?
That was so funny. I mean, that's maybe not a very nice thing to say because I thought it was funny, but it was just like such an example of like the absolute crap that is on the internet, and it just gets oxygen. It's really like in like a tiny little echo chamber. But as a player, like I do find that a bit weird how we're like kind of like very aware of like parts of the internet that previously would never have paid any attention to, and next minute it's like Rianna and Kirby are lesbians. It's like what the hell?
Everyone, I knew it from the start. They're too nice with each other. Sorry,
that's
your friendship. Yes. Yeah, Kirby and I always make jokes about it. It's so funny because obviously,
it's amazing.
For the record, into males. There's anyone out there? Yeah. And then she's like, "Ree, you are so straight. Like, I don't even know how one person would even think that you would be a lesbian." And I was like, "I know."
For the record, I don't think like advertising that you're straight on this podcast is going to really like do anything for you. But yeah, that's pretty funny. How is Kirby? Like you say, that's really nice that you know what is really cool about Survivor is you do make bonds with people, and with Kirby, you got a friend for life. Like that's pretty cool that you still keep you visit her in Melbourne a bit, keep in touch.
So Kirby and I talk pretty much most days, and we call like every couple days we call each other. Like literally, I wouldn't have expected to have such a tight friendship. Like it's insane. Like she's one of my best friends, like hands down. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we all know that we are all rooting for either Riri on SAS Australia, even though it's not Channel 10 show, but don't let the details distract you, or probably what you would prefer, and maybe Australia would prefer, would be Kirby and Riri on the block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's definitely I'm gonna try my hardest to get on the block. That would be like my goals made. I think especially after renovating this house, I feel like going on the block would just be like, I don't know, icing on the cake, just to give it a crack. And then I'll have, if Kirby comes on with me, she'll protect me because lots of them get a little bit like narky and mean to people, and then she can have my back like she did in the game, and then I'll just start like knocking out the house and making sure that our house is sweet.
Well, you know what'll be cool is like, I mean, I don't know about Kirby's house building skills, but I know that you're crushing it. So it would be cool for you to be like the lead, like in the house building, and then like Kirby can just be like,
My
the godmother in the
sister
corner, just like whacking a mole of meanies.
yeah, she's actually she does construction stuff, so she knows a little bit about some things. But I don't know
Mm.
how much she knows. So yeah, I might be able to take the lead. And then we both probably need some help with some interior designing, probably. I have some ideas, but like I'm more on like I see the whole rooms and everything, but the finer little, like the vase or like where to put the magazine book on the bed, I don't even know. Like that stuff is a little
Yeah.
I need to ring someone about that. Help me.
I really also want you and Curbs to go on the block just for the rumors as well, because
Yeah.
it'll be quite hilarious. I think we're both.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I think your
funny.
internet is. I think our connection is like hanging on by a thread. So yeah.
It
Is there
is,
anything like
isn't it?
is there anything else that you want to chat about before we wrap it up?
No, it's pretty much
Anything else
it.
that you got going
What do
on? Any
you want to talk
project?
about the challenges and that stuff or not?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, like, I wasn't sure if you'd like had enough of talking about the challenges, but yeah,
We can
obviously,
talk
like you were. I mean, I kind of like,
we can
I,
talk about it because we've
like
talked about Survivor enough.
yeah. All right. Well, like, we can always come back another day and talk more about Survivor in greater detail. But I suppose I just want to say that I thought obviously you were the challenge beast, but like we were. I think like I don't want to reduce your game just down to the challenges, because you were like super social, you were like super chatty, you were in connected. Obviously, you had Kirby, but also, like you were a social butterfly as well. So when I think of you and Survivor, yeah, number one is challenges, but
I do like the challenges personally because I think they're just fun. One of the reasons that I pretty much was on Survivor was because of the challenges. And when I used to watch Survivor, I didn't watch it like majorly, but when I did watch it, I just fast forward to the challenges and then watch the challenge, then fast forward the middle bits, and then like I was like, in hindsight, when it came down to my game, I really should have watched those bits in the middle because I just watched the challenges.
mate, like you've done you won 3 bloody challenges, and you're a good team player in the team challenges too. So all you got to do is a little bit of homework, and next time you'll be sweet.
Yeah, I don't know if there'll be a next time. If I got the opportunity, I probably would do it. But I feel like I don't
Yeah,
know. My time is now for the block or SAS. Another one's calling.
yeah.
Another time.
Yeah, well, I'm here for that. Well, everyone, thank you. Riri, thank you so much for jumping on, for being the first guest. I hope you had some fun. And
It's so
yeah,
fun.
do you want to do a shout out for your social media handle, and then we can wrap it up?
Yeah, so if you want to follow me on social media, just my normal one is just Rianna Bowley. You can have a look at a few of my hikes and a few other things I've got going on there. And then if you do want to follow my Renault page, my little side hustle, it's just re_Renault. So you can have a look at that as well if you like.
Do yourself a favor, people. It's a lot of fun. Follow both. I follow both. And yeah, Mark Warnock here from on Instagram. You can get me at Mark T Warnock. I've got not much on there, but there's a few odd photos of me fishing, me hanging out with Sass, walking the dog, a bit of survivor content. So yeah, check me out, hit me up, and yeah, and anyway, this is just a little pilot podcast. We'll see. I don't know exactly who will be on next, but yeah, a few more episodes to come. But yeah, thanks Riri, and thanks everyone for listening.